AEW All Out 2025 delivered several shocking moments, but none as brutal, bloody, and unforgettable as the Tables N Tacks match between Mark Briscoe and Maxwell Jacob Friedman (MJF). Fans inside the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, witnessed a war of attrition that pushed both men to their absolute limits. What unfolded was more than just a wrestling contest, it was a story of pride, pain, and the relentless pursuit of victory. This match had been months in the making, and when the final bell rang, it was Mark Briscoe standing tall, his hand raised after surviving a barbaric encounter that will undoubtedly be remembered as one of the most violent matches in AEW's modern era. The buildup, why Briscoe vs. MJF happened. The road to this match started long before All Out. MJF, who once prided himself on being the salt of the earth and the face of AEW, had recently been spiraling into darker territory. After suffering several high-profile losses in 2025, he began targeting opponents he believed stood in his way of reclaiming his spot at the top. Mark Briscoe, a veteran of tag team wars and hardcore battles, became one of his prime targets. Briscoe, known for his toughness and never-say-die attitude, refused to back down. Their rivalry escalated quickly, with Briscoe challenging MJF's arrogance at every turn, while MJF mocked Briscoe's style and called him a backyard brawler living in the wrong era. The insults and ambushes soon turned violent. Steel chair attacks, surprise beatdowns, and heated promos built an atmosphere where a traditional wrestling match was no longer enough. AEW officials, responding to the chaos, sanctioned a Tables N Tacks match, a stipulation promising carnage, chaos, and consequences. The atmosphere at AEW All Out 2025. The Chicago crowd was electric as the two men made their entrances. MJF, as always, was showered with a chorus of boos mixed with jeers mocking his expensive scarf and smug demeanor. He thrived on the hate, smirking as he strutted toward the ring, carrying himself like a star despite the animosity. In contrast, Mark Briscoe received one of the loudest ovations of the night. Fans held up signs with, "Dem Boys Forever," and, "Reach for the Sky," a nod to his late brother Jay Briscoe. The atmosphere was charged with emotion, anticipation, and the promise of violence. The moment the bell rang, the two wasted no time. The fans instantly knew they were about to witness something historic. Early stages, Briscoe's relentless energy versus MJF's crafty tactics. From the outset, Briscoe brought his trademark intensity, unleashing a flurry of strikes, chops, and wild brawling tactics. He quickly introduced the first table, sliding it into the ring and setting the tone for the chaos that would follow. MJF, however, proved why he's regarded as one of the smartest strategists in the business. He avoided early damage, retreating outside the ring, forcing Briscoe to chase him. This mind game allowed MJF to lure Briscoe into a trap, sending him face first into the steel steps. The crowd booed furiously, but MJF thrived on it. He dragged out a bag of thumbtacks early, pouring them across the mat like a sadistic artist preparing his canvas. Mid-match carnage, blood, tacks, and broken tables. The match quickly descended into chaos. Briscoe was the first to bleed after MJF drove him headfirst into the tack-covered mat with a vicious DDT. Blood poured from his forehead, but rather than deterring him, it only fueled his rage. Briscoe fought back with his unorthodox offense, using chairs, tables, and even biting MJF's forehead in a desperate attempt to gain control. The fans erupted as Briscoe hit a Death Valley driver through the first table of the night. Not to be outdone, MJF introduced even more violence. At one point, he powerbombed Briscoe onto a pile of thumbtacks, leaving Briscoe's back riddled with puncture wounds. The visual was horrifying, yet the crowd couldn't look away. Each time it looked like MJF had the match won, Briscoe found a way to kick out. Each time Briscoe surged forward, MJF dug deeper into his bag of dirty tricks. The turning point came when MJF attempted to end things with a heatseeker piledriver onto a steel chair placed over tacks. As he pulled Briscoe into position, Briscoe fought desperately, backdropping MJF instead into the tacks. The United Center exploded. MJF screamed in agony, his back and arms punctured, blood flowing freely. Briscoe seized the moment, rallying the crowd behind him with fiery intensity. The final moments, with the crowd chanting, "This is awesome," and "Fight forever," Briscoe set up two tables stacked outside the ring. The fans knew something huge was coming. In the final sequence, Briscoe countered MJF's attempt at a low blow, headbutting him and hitting a J-driller through both tables from the ring apron. The impact was catastrophic, wood splintered everywhere, and both men lay motionless on the arena floor. Summoning the last of his strength, Briscoe crawled back into the ring, dragging MJF's limp body behind him. With one final burst of willpower, he covered MJF for the 3 count. Mark Briscoe was victorious. Aftermath. What this means for AEW. The victory was more than just a win, it was a statement. For Mark Briscoe, this was a career-defining moment, solidifying his legacy as one of AEW's most resilient warriors. The crowd gave him a standing ovation as he stood tall, battered, bloody, and triumphant. For MJF, the loss marked yet another low point in a year filled with setbacks. His arrogance had backfired, and he was left humiliated in front of a crowd that reveled in his suffering. Still, knowing MJF, fans can expect retaliation sooner rather than later. AEW officials now face the challenge of what's next for both men. Will Briscoe be elevated into world title contention after this career performance? Will MJF spiral even further into villainy, or will he plot a cunning comeback? Fan reactions. Social media exploded after the match. Clips of Briscoe hitting the J-driller through the tables quickly went viral, with fans and wrestlers alike praising both men for their willingness to put their bodies on the line. Some fans declared it the match of the night, while others called it one of the most brutal matches in AEW history. Briscoe's performance, in particular, earned widespread respect, with many noting how he has stepped out of the shadow of his legendary tag team career to shine as a single star. Legacy of the Tables N Tacks Match. Hardcore matches are often criticized for being overly violent, but when done with storytelling and purpose, they become unforgettable. This bout between Mark Briscoe and MJF perfectly balanced brutality with emotion, ensuring it will be remembered for years. It wasn't just about thumbtacks and tables, it was about pride, legacy, and proving who could endure the most punishment. In that sense, Briscoe's victory wasn't just a win in the record books, it was a symbolic triumph of heart over arrogance.